Hi guys and welcome back to Rugby Fan, the couch discussion. Today we're just going to cover what happened on the Chiefs Blues game and then discuss what is going to happen in the Hurricanes Crusaders game as our thoughts upon it, and we're going to go through the teams. So first I want to congratulate Stefano and Jock for getting the points in the Super Brew. I went with Chiefs and they went Blues, and it wasn't a bad game. I don't think it was a spectacularly great game, one to be remembered, but it wasn't a bad game in the second half. First half wasn't that much action. I think the rain had much influence on that. But Stefano, what was your thoughts on this game? What did you take away? What did you like? What did you not like?
I think it was a tough game to start with because of the rain. We could see the rain was pouring down. It wasn't that bad, but the handling errors then escalated very quickly. A lot of knock-ons, a lot of strip balls, getting it out of the position's hands. So I think the first half was like a 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10. Wasn't so excited. We didn't shout every time they got the ball. But the second half really started going into the game flow, and I'm really proud of the Blues. Well done, Blues. You did very well. And I think definitely at the end of the second half, the confidence level of the Blues really started peaking. And saw running rugby, so I was excited.
Yes, and I think the stats in the first half was like, at one stage, in 30 minutes in, there were 8 penalties against the Blues and 1 against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Jock, what do you think about that stat and the Chiefs not converting on that stat?
I think, well, with that handling errors, it was a big problem. I think the teams should capitalize on the ball possession more, but also with the rain and everything, you don't always know what to do. If you want to kick, if you want to do ball in hand stuff. So yeah, I think teams need to be more aware of the ball possession and everything, and also need to capitalize on the territory as well.
So it was interesting because there was a lot of scrums in this game, as the Chiefs didn't handle that well in the first half. And that brought a lot of place for Hoskins Sotutu to come into the game from the base to pick up. And we saw him do it a couple of times, not that much. They're more on the attack, which is something we expected. So how does he and someone like Akira Ioane contribute to some game with a lot of knock-ons? Because if this is the raiding season in New Zealand, I'm not sure how the raiding season works in New Zealand. So if this is raiding season, will we see a lot more of the 8th men picking up? Is it something to look forward to, like Adi Xavier tomorrow? Stefano, what do you think?
I think that's an interesting question. First of all, I think Akira really played well today. It was the first time we saw him in a couple of months actually, and he didn't do bad on the flank position. I actually can't remember if he scrummed at flank as well. He didn't go at the 8-man position or number 8, but. You know what, that would be very interesting because we spoke about it just after the game. So Tutu didn't have one of the best games yet. He had a phenomenal game last week. I mean, great. And of course he scored a try, so that's really cool. So excited for him. He's an exciting player. But that will really play a big part of the scrums and the way that we view scrums at this moment. You know, I think in South Africa we would play from the base, or if you have somebody like Dwayne Vermeulen pick up and then try to run around. But you know, his burners are slow at the moment, so he's not like a young Pierce Spies or a Ryan Kunkowski, and that's also against the number 8. If you don't have that base, like a Adi Xavier, quick from the base, rather pick up, you know, just throw the ball to your 9, get him out of there. Don't put pressure on yourself. So that will be the two factors for me. If it is running season in New Zealand, for example, I think they should just get it to the 9 and let him do something. Go straight to the back line, hit. Don't concede the turnover, because I think that will really happen. If it's the 8th man or the number 8 and you run around and your flankers isn't there to clean out, you're going to turn over the ball. All that hard work for nothing.
Yeah, and I really think the Blues' game plan was to try and bring the key players into the game. But as we discussed before, we would like to see more of Rico Ioane, Bowden Barrett, and all those players combined. But Jock, we didn't see a lot of Rico Ioane in this game. Bowden Barrett was involved, but it was more. You saw him when the Blues had a penalty and he did a great banana kick to the sideline. What do you think went wrong with the Blues game plan to bring in the big guns from the back? Because Caleb Clark got the last 20 minutes, probably got the ball more than the whole entire game.
Yeah, it felt to me like Rico Ioane was somewhere but nowhere. He was like in the line, but for some reason he didn't want to get the ball. He didn't look for work or anything. But also we saw the flanks on the wings. So where were the wings?
Yeah.
So yeah, we also think like that. But with Bowden Barrett, I don't think tactic today was to get him necessarily on the ball. Maybe just to, if he gets the ball, do something, do a kick or do a quick step just to break the line or anything. But I think as the time goes on, his part in the team will differ. In the last 10-20 minutes he was at fly half. Then he became more prominent in the game. So I think it's all tactics for now, just to see where he fits in the team. So yeah, I think with the back line, I don't know what went wrong today, but it was more like a forwards game for me today.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we spoke about this. There was not one of the big names wasn't one of the bigger names wasn't the man of the match for me personally. I think more someone like Tunga Fassi. The front row of the Blues definitely did some work today.
Yes.
Even Parsons had a good game, and although Sututu and both Ioannis and Papaili was there, Barabara, they weren't the man of the match. You can even go to someone like Nock who had a solid game, not the best game. Black wasn't as prominent as last week. And there's something, and actually the Blues were lucky today. If the Chiefs were firing on all cylinders, that could have been horrible. But the Chiefs played against themselves.
Yes.
I didn't think this was a quality Chiefs side. Damon McKenzie was looking like he's been trying to do everything on his own, trying to kick and chase everything. So a lot of stuff went wrong in the Chiefs camp. They had a solid forward performance at the forwards, but they, like we said, handling errors were their downfall. And something to look at maybe for Gatlin in this week to come. So what do you think the Chiefs must do to come back from something like a performance like this?
I think just going back to the basics, because like you said, the Blues played very well and quote unquote lucky, if it's only that matter. For me personally, I think it was confidence at the end, because they just thought like they have them at the back foot. It's the 10th round, 11th round in boxing. We got them on the ropes. Just keep on pushing, get them in their half, they'll make a mistake. And that is essentially what happened. So I agree with you that they played against themselves with the handling errors, and I think the most important part is I don't think the combinations that Gatlin is trying out at the moment is working.
Yes.
Quality players, but that doesn't mean they are a championship team. That is not the same thing. I think the Blues are a championship team, but if you take just Otero Black against Richie Mo'unga, I'm sorry, Richie Mo'unga is probably the better all-round player. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a team effort, and I think the team that they selected isn't working out, and I hope to see some changes in the next couple of weeks for Gatlin, because otherwise I don't think the Chiefs are going to be a contender for anything, honestly.
Yeah, and we spoke about this in-game while the game was playing, that Gatlin had a couple of years with Wales, and he had to experiment with different fly-offs, different wings, different players, different positions, and now we see the Chiefs a bit struggling on the back foot. They had a great Super Rugby season. Now, coming off 2 losses, last week being bad for him.
Yes.
So, what job do you think as Fran mentioned, different positions maybe? What would you do as Warren Gatlin now?
Well, I would first go to communication between the players. Like today, there was no communication for me. Like one of the players passed to McKenzie, and McKenzie just left it because there was another player standing next to him.
Yeah.
Like who's going to catch the ball? And also the combinations, like we said, like 12 and 13 need to learn to play together. They don't, and McKenzie also must learn to work with the team, not against the team.
Yeah.
Because he might do something, he might be thinking, oh, there's a gap, let's run, but there's no support for him.
Yeah.
So I think communication is a huge factor for me now. And also, like Stefan said, back to the basics, just do the basics correct first before you try and do all the skill stuff. And I know that's New Zealand rugby, but if you can't do the basics right, how can you expect to win a game? And also with Gatlin, like we said, he had a few years with Wales, so it's not going to be perfect the first time around. So I think the Chiefs in the next 2-3 weeks might be on form, but there needs to be something big going on in the camp now.
That's for sure. Because chemistry has a lot to play, and I think the Chiefs actually played some good rugby in the last 15 minutes. They were quickly on the Blues try line, just didn't convert. They took a quick tap where you said they should take a scrum, which is debatable because they didn't have a good scrum as well.
Yes.
The forwards pack doesn't mix. And it's not like they had bad performances. I mean, that 13, I think Quinn, I don't know his surname, but he wasn't tackled first time. He broke 2 tackles every single time. Why don't bring him more into the game? Why don't combine him with someone like Damien McKenzie to pop up a 12, 2-step, put him on a one-on-one situation? You will break the line. That one time he broke the line, gave to the inside centre on the wing, and he converted, and someone just died over. So a lot of mistakes, both sides, off feet, a lot of penalties. We spoke a bit about the referee. Go check it out on Twitter. Go check out polls we post before game. We're on every platform. Just a reminder for you guys quickly. Go check it out. Join the conversation. Join your opinion, please. We'd like to hear from you guys. But we spoke about the ref as well a bit. And he was a lot of strict at the breakdowns. But he missed a lot of, let's say, a bit forward passes, a bit off the ball, not off the ball stuff, but a bit of divings and you know, refs are allowed to have a bad day once or twice, but not something we hope to see further into the tournament. So speaking of further into the tournament, tomorrow the Hurricanes take on the Crusaders, and I'll get to Jock now who has the teams. But Stefano, right off the bat, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
So I think the mighty Crusaders are going to fall the Canes, which I know Jock doesn't want to hear, but I think yes, I really feel the time of the Crusaders of being this dominant team and dominant culture in New Zealand and in rugby. Probably the most decorated team in rugby history. That will start to shift. I'm pretty sure it's going to start to shift. That doesn't mean I'm right with this one. I can be wrong, but I'm backing the Canes with six on Super Group. Go join us. But yes, no, it's 6 points. I think the Canes are going to be like that thorn that Jock mentioned in our latest podcast.
Okay. Jock, just highlight a few players that you think will stand out from each side. I know that, like you said, Ori Sevilla's coming back. But who do you think is going to be the standout top 3 performances on the Hurricane side and Crusader side to look out for tomorrow?
For me, like we spoke off air, the Hurricanes have a better forward pack for now. I know the Crusaders have a few injuries and a few players is not there. So I think the Hurricanes, we almost always talk about Dan Coles. He's also co-captain.
Yes.
But I think Vai Fafita is coming back with the Hurricanes. He's also a big, strong player. So I think he's one to look out for. And then in the back line for the Hurricanes, somebody, I don't know, Tia, the fullback, is also good. But there's such a competitive back line over there, so we don't always know who's going to stand out, but it's good performance over there.
Tia you to perform, because last week he didn't have the best game. He was not the standout player on the Hurricane side, but he wasn't. So hopefully he steps it up.
Yes.
And he can compare with someone like Ben Lam, not compare, but if he can link up with someone like Ben Lam, it can be quite dangerous.
Yeah.
So interesting.
And for me, it's like he's been picked again on fullback, so I think the coach has confidence in him to do something. I think the coach sees something in him. And then on the Crusaders side, for me, I want to see Cody Taylor perform as a captain and as a player. I think he's for me a better hooker than Dane Coles at the moment. But the back line over here for the Crusaders, Muanga is always one to look out for. Will Jordan on fullback, a young player, good player, and then Braden Ennor on outside centre. I think that's a few players to look out for. And also the bench is also littered with good players, with Havili coming back and Mitchell Drummond for the Crusaders. And yes, we will see Kobus van Wyk. That played for the played for the Sharks, I think.
And probably the Stormers.
Stormers, yes. He's at the Hurricane, so let's see if he can
He
make
had a good debut this year. I think he scored a hat-trick in his debut or something crazy. So it's an interesting squad. And the Crusaders always have a brilliant backline talent. I mean, Braden Ennor came through and was the breakout player 2 years ago, and then last year Severis and George Bridge bursted onto the scene.
Yes.
And they just have this standard of just setting a new good player, and Will Jordan is the latest to step up. So I believe that, like you said, there's a good backline match, but I believe the Crusaders are stronger there, but the forwards of the Hurricanes are stronger.
Yes.
So, Stefano, what do you think the matchup would be between Sam Whitelock and Viva Fita, and then Cody Taylor and Dan Coles, as Jock mentioned now? What do you think that heat will be? Because obviously it's old generation Dan Coles, so it's a new generation Cody Taylor, and then it's vice versa with the locks.
I think I actually think the Canes again is going to outweigh the parents you just mentioned, because I'm not so against Coles as we mentioned in the game while we were speaking about him and Cody Taylor. I think Cody Taylor is a good player, but I think he makes interesting, decisions at sometimes, that's a personal feeling that I have about Cody Taylor. So I would definitely rank Coles above him, and I think he's just a bit of more game time, getting more experience. That's the same for Whitelock against Vafita that you just mentioned. I mean, you can't outweigh the experience with the energy of a younger person. That's you have to have both in your team. But I think that if you mention those two, I think the Canes will outrank the Crusaders, because the one thing that I think Whitelock really it's going to really affect him in this game. So he went overseas to play in Japan, if I'm not mistaken, because he had a contract now with the Crusaders to come back to play for the Aotearoa competition. That means already he didn't play the same amount of games we already had seen in this year, because he went to Japan, and Japan doesn't play exactly the same. They actually play less because they like to stretch out their competitions differently than us, and so on. So you should also ask yourself, a guy that's almost 36 years old, 35, 36, he's definitely over 30, that I can mention. But I'm actually guessing now, roughly 35, 36 years old. How much more does it take out of you not to be in gameplay than when you're 23 years old and you can miss a year and come back and quickly get into fitness? That for me is a difference. So I'm hoping he's going to play 50 minutes, but that's that. I can't even see more than that.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's something like we hoped Cruden would do. When he played for Chiefs, play 50 minutes, bring on the younger guy, try a bit running. So it's interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to see that what the Crusaders do with all their players who's not playing, who's not in the squad. Because they posted this week on Instagram, they said some familiar faces at the training, and someone like Matt Todd was there, Kieran Reid was there, Slade was there, obviously Fly Off, and they still have a quality team with all those players not playing. So the Crusaders have incredible depth at what they do, but what their success was over the years is they have a good 15-man synergy, and it's something you mentioned now with the Chiefs not having. So what do you think, Jock, would the Crusaders' secret be to beat the Canes tomorrow? What do they need to do to step up and say, this is how we're going to beat them? And while you're saying how they'll do it, what is your prediction for tomorrow as well?
Okay, my prediction is Crusaders by 7. I think what they need to do, we will see.
Okay.
I think what they need to do is a good defensive line. I think it's a common New Zealand thing for the defense line to come up quickly. I think if you give the Hurricanes, especially the back line, enough room, they will destroy you. But also because the Hurricanes have big backline players versus the Crusaders, not so big, but very quick players. So I think a good defensive line, and also kicking under pressure, like the box kicks, put everything under pressure, and especially with Tia not having a good game. But you have like a sevens player like Ben Lamb, who's good in the air, who's quick, who's strong. So I think if that defensive line can come up quickly, it will be a headache for the Hurricanes. But also put that Perinara under pressure.
Yes.
Because if he gets his space, if he gets the ball out, there's problems. So yes, let's see.
That's interesting, because I'll get to you now, because that's something we spoke about quickly in game. Is that if you suffocate the 9 out of 10 switch, that'll pressure them. And I want to ask you, how do you think the Canes will suffocate Moanga as well?
I'm actually just wondering about that lineup, because if I want to do again a high risk high reward, the same that Bowden did with that banana kick in this game, if I wanted to do that, I would actually put Luamape still on 12, of course, but shift attacking lines so that he always runs on Moanga.
Okay.
Always.
Short lines.
Yes. So I mean that sometimes not even getting your fly off into that first receiver position. So you literally, of course, study game tape. You study how Moanga operates in the back line. If he's normally 80% on the left hand side, as you shift, then your 10, while your fly off shifts to the short hand side, and you get Luamape always in on Moanga. Get him actually tired, so that his kicking game's off, so that he doesn't have that strategic way that the Crusaders always play.
Yeah.
And that will disrupt their whole gameplay. You can have somebody on 9, 12, I don't care, because if you don't have that general for the Crusaders, I think that's going to be tough. Because we always see that with Dan Carter, we saw that with Slade. There was also a young guy, I think in 2014, 15, that played for them, and I hated him because he destroyed the Stormers, like single-handedly. He just kicked all over Giapron all the time. And so I would do that. I would completely try and get even Moanga at a point that he needs to sub. He can't continue.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do to suffocate him on a defensive side. That's going to be tough, because you're playing with somebody that has played with the likes of Daniel Carter, because he was like one of the juniors in the squad when Dan Carter still played. Of course, he played with Bowden, and they were 10, 15 position. He definitely have all the knowledge that came from these senior players. And with that being said, I think he's a strategic player, not taking the ball at a front of the not offensive, but like an advantage line. He's more of a back type of player. So I think that's difficult to suffocate him on defense. That's what makes him actually very dangerous on defense.
Just use the outside backs.
Yes. So I would try to literally just hit him every time I have the ball with Luamape, because Luamape will take that. Luamape will probably run. Maybe sometimes he'll run through him. Maybe. But that's debatable.
That's interesting, because the New Zealand World Cup strategy was not to put Moanga on 10 defence. If they set up, it was already someone like Luamape, or didn't go to the actually.
Yeah.
So someone like Jack Goodhue was always on first defender. Was Jack Goodhue.
Yeah.
Or a bigger player.
Yeah,
so
Sonny Bull
was always the first defender. So that's something the Crusaders will probably look at and just shift out Richie Moanga completely, because Jack Goodhue is up against Luamape on 12. Vince also is outside against Braden Ennor. So both quality centre pairings. Braden Ennor known to actually be a winger more than a centre, but actually owning the 13th centre jersey for the Crusaders, not doing that bad in it. So it's going to be an interesting matchup in the midfield, and it's interesting how they're going to counter Luamape, offensive and defensive wise, and how the Canes are going to try and suffocate the space out, because if Ennor gets the ball in 2 meters space, he's gone. And if he unleashes Severus and or George Bridge, he's going to be dangerous. Because they're interesting, and they're not the traditional winger as Ben Lam is, like the physical Julian Savea, Jonah Lomu, I'm going to run over 3 guys and then you have to stop me. They're more like, I'm going to beat you one-on-one with the foot. And Severus has the capability to run over someone, as we've seen with Kwagga Smith in the past. So it's going to be interesting, because it's a quality of speed and stepping against muscle and basically brawn. Brawn is the speed. So I think it's going to be a good matchup in the backs. The four is going to clash up. It's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys are going to join tomorrow's game. Please let us know what you guys think by joining our Super Bowl pool, picking your picks. So it's Hurricanes by 6, Crusaders by 7, Crusaders by 9. But me and Stefano not agreeing on any games this weekend for I think the first time in a while. So congratulations once again on your picks with the Blues game. I obviously lost out with picking the Chiefs. So we'll see how that affects the pool. But remember to check out all our platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We have a rugby blog, rugbyfordays.com. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, so you can check us out there. Go listen, please leave a review. We'd love to interact with you guys. Please share with your friends, please subscribe, please like, and then if you want to comment and put your opinion, you're more than welcome. We'll interact with you guys. We want to be as a community. So we wanted you to be part of the RFD family.